This is Tom Bradley and John Rim, and together we are Downtime. So, admittedly, it took us a bit of time to come up with an idea for our Capstone project. Whether we were together in class or maybe discussing at a Starbucks, or even when we were apart, we were constantly coming up with ideas. And this continued until we thought, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we could log where we've been throughout the day, visualize that data, and use that as a proxy for tracking our productivity. Or maybe just remembering where you caught that Charizard, for those of you who are playing Pokemon Go. So we decided to make a mobile app to track our location, or track the user's location. And in order to do that, we used React Native in favor over Ionic. Not only because we thought that it would give us better control over the native iOS components, but we're also really interested in learning more about React and the React framework in general. We believe it has a lot of potential, and that's demonstrated by the growing support in the open source community. We actually use the open source library React Native Store to handle much of our local storage processes on our app, which actually Tom will talk more about later. And with that, I will hand it over to John Rim to talk about our features.
So let's start by logging our current location. We'll give it a name of Full Stack Academy. And if you notice, there is an autocomplete feature that's based off of the current locations that are already saved. So for now, let's just keep logging. And if we go to the map view, we can see that there's now a marker at our current location, Full Stack Academy. And if we zoom out, we can see all the other locations that we visited throughout the day. And if we click on the target button in the bottom right, it will center it back to our current location. For the logs view, there's a list of locations. And if we click on a location, we can see and edit the details. And in the chart view, you can see the time spent in each location. These percentages are not based on the total time in a day, but rather the total time spent logging. And at the bottom, you can see that for Full Stack Academy, it says no time spent at this location yet. So if we stop logging, and we go back to the chart view, it now says 34 seconds. So let's try logging it again, but this time, let's give it no name. So enter no name. And what our application does, it uses the Google Places API to provide for us a sample name. So in this case, it says 5 Hanover Square. So let's change that to Grace Hopper Academy. And that will automatically change that location name everywhere throughout our application. So I'll pass it over to Tom to talk about some challenges that we overcame.
Thanks, John. So every view in our app needs location data to function correctly. This diagram shows the architecture of our app. As you can see, all our location data persists in storage and is used by every component. Each component uses the data differently, but they all need it to be readily available and quickly able to be manipulated. A good example of this is our autocomplete feature, because in order for that to work, the component first needs to iterate through each location the user's logged, and then put an array on the state of just the location names. And this all has to happen before the user even starts typing, because our autocomplete compares the user's input to a dynamically generated collection of substrings based on those location names. And initially, we just use async storage, which is React Native's default global storage system. And it stores all the data in serialized form, and so we found it became kind of unwieldy and cluttered our code base to be constantly deserializing every time we were loading location data onto our component states. So we ended up using React Native Store, which kind of abstracted away that and cleaned up our code base and really made features like the animated graphs and autocomplete possible and really functional. And overall, React Native was great to work with, and it was really great to see that we could learn a new framework and the patterns that come with that framework in a short period of time just by building something that was out of our comfort zone. Moving forward, I think we want to add more geolocation-based features and then eventually put it on the App Store. So thank you for listening, and I'll take any questions you have.